Trump just left Melania behind for a young blonde in China. Yes, Trump's wild China trip is breathing all sorts of new life into his aid affair rumors because the president has a 34-year-old single assistant who writes him letters saying that he is all that matters to her, who once lived in a locker room to stay close to him. Yes, this is giving a whole new meaning to locker room talk. And she has been found in his private quarters late at night. And now the Secret Service formally flagged her as a security threat. She just traveled with Trump internationally. Melania did not. And the White House's official position is that she just prints his tweets, which sure, that's one way to describe it. But here's another way. And before I start, I just need to acknowledge someone out there, allegedly, used their full, unrestricted free will to pursue Donald Trump romantically, voluntarily. She did this unprompted. Melania famously does not appear to feel this way. She requests separate bedrooms on international trips, and she lives in an entirely different floor of the White House. And this week, she stayed in an entirely different hemisphere than Donnie Trump. So when I tell you that another woman has been documented writing him love letters, showing up in his private quarters late at night, and spending an entire summer living in his golf club to stay close to him, I need you to sit with the fact that somebody looked at Donald Trump, this demented man who shits himself, and chose that freely. The Secret Service flagged her. I would too. And his inner circle is panicking. His own son is demanding answers. And all of this is documented. So we're going to go through all of it. Every letter, every midnight visit, every boundary she crossed that should have ended his career, somebody's career, and somehow didn't. And by the end of this, you're not going to be asking whether something inappropriate is happening between the president of the United States and his 34-year-old assistant. You're going to be asking how anyone thought that they were even hiding it. And real quick, I'm Loren Piretra. Subscribe, because every subscription, every follow, every action you take, every comment 6 words or more, every hype, every follow across wherever you listen to your podcast, all of those things help piss off Stephen Little Bitch Miller and Katie Miller, who married him on purpose. And Stephen Little Bitch Miller doesn't like when you subscribe to me. If you subscribe to me across any of these places, it creates a barrier around you and Stephen Miller. So it kind of will prevent him from nesting in your crawl space or scurrying across your ceiling if there's a hole in the wall somewhere. Consider every action also one step closer to getting that man in a windowless cage. So let's start with the flight manifest, shall we? And the absent first lady, because who gets on a presidential plane to China? That's not a random decision. You don't just accidentally take a tumble and end up in China. Every seat on Air Force One is deliberate. The official guest list included the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, looking intensely uncomfortable in a usually poorly tailored suit. Eric and Lara Trump attempting to look like dignitaries. Lara posted a pre-takeoff photo captioned Team China. Just incredibly cringy. It would only work if it was an SNL skit, but this is real life. And then there is the empty space where usually the first lady belongs. The official White House line says Melania stayed home to focus on her domestic foster care initiatives. Good cover story, Melania, from coming out of the Family Values Party. But here's what we actually know about how these two operate. California Governor Gavin Newsom's 2026 memoir describes touring the presidential jet and finding a bedroom with 2 twin beds separated by several feet. Newlywed energy, if you've ever asked me. Trump explained that Melania wanted it that way. Can you blame her? At the White House, she lives on an entirely different floor. She took over the 3rd floor suite where Michelle Obama's mother used to live. They lead completely separate, autonomous lives in the same building. And this week, she chose an entirely different hemisphere. Can you blame her? That leaves a very specific opening, though, on Air Force One. And that is when Natalie Harp shows up in the seat next to the president at a state banquet in Beijing. She's single, 34, blonde, and she's photographed right where Melania would have been. That alone would be weird, but somehow with Trump, it always gets weirder. So who is Natalie Harp? Trump first noticed Natalie in 2019 when she appeared on Fox News and credited him with saving her life. pardon me while I barf in a bag. She had stage 2 bone cancer, she said, and his right to try legislation gave her access to the experimental treatment that cured her. Trump also has ripped health insurance and healthcare access away from millions of Americans, but as long as Natalie's okay, whatever. And listen, it was a great story for Natalie. Medical experts who later spoke to the Washington Post cast serious doubt on whether the timeline even made sense, but factual accuracy never been a strong suit of this administration, or never really mattered. So Trump was so moved that he invited her to speak at the 2020 Republican National Convention. She compared him to George Bailey from It's a Wonderful Life. Jimmy Stewart's actual family publicly objected, and then she went on One American News Network and pushed election fraud claims until DirecTV dropped the channel entirely. And by January 2025, she was named executive assistant to the President of the United States. Now, her official job title is executive assistant. Her actual function is something that never existed in the modern White House before. Staffers call her the human printer, which is a very interesting thing to be called as an adult woman. She carries massive shoulder bags everywhere with a portable printer, extra paper, presumably toilet paper, if I had to guess, maybe some diapers too, and rechargeable batteries. Trump does not like reading off of screens. He's not really good at reading in general, as we know. So Harp spends her days pulling screenshots of flattering posts, conspiracy theories, fan accounts, and attacks on rivals. And she prints them onto standard paper and hands them to him in a physical stack for his review. He then dictates, and she logs onto his Truth Social account and posts. Usually, I'd imagine she's probably just spinning around in a circle and slamming on the keyboard. That's how I imagine things to really go with Trump and any accounts that he has access to. And he has published over 8,800 posts since taking office. Frequently, these posts are between midnight and 3 in the morning. She answers directly to Trump and bypasses the chief of staff and the entire communications department completely. And speaking of unhinged, you know what else is unhinged? The way Medicare works. Like, it's nuts. And today's episode is brought to you by Chapter. Look, I spent 15 years inside marketing machines. I know the difference between a system built to help you and one built to confuse you. And Medicare is the second one. There are thousands of plans, conflicting information everywhere, and then you also get the never-ending spam calls. That's why you need to know about Chapter. Chapter is the only Medicare advisor that compares every plan nationwide. The doctors you like, the medications you take, your priorities. They use it all to find a plan that actually fits your life. So if you've already found the right plan for you, they'll tell you. If not, they'll help you switch. Just last year, seniors who found new plans with Chapter saved an average of $1,100 on healthcare costs. So if you're turning 65 or already on Medicare, call Chapter at 424-292-6476. That's the LPTV hotline. It's free and it takes under 20 minutes. Seriously, just do it. That's 424-292-6476. And I'm going to link it in the description on this video or podcast too. So senators text Trump's girl directly when they cannot reach the president. They don't text Melania. They don't text anyone else. They text her. Let that land for a second. Elected officials are texting this gal sitting next to Trump, being with Trump late night because she has more access to the leader of the free world than they do. The White House aides have described her on the record as an instant enabler of his impulses, which sounds like a staffing complaint, if you ask me, because we've seen what those impulses have actually produced, and that's war, okay? Every single one of these incidents in the chaos trail around this gal should have ended her career, but none of them did. There is a unified right video. So while Trump was on trial in New York, his Truth Social account posted a 30-second clip imagining a post-election America.
This video referenced a quote-unquote unified Reich. Reich is a German word that basically means empire, but it, of course, evokes the Third Reich, used to refer to Adolf Hitler's Nazi Germany.
What happens after Donald Trump wins? What's next for America?
So there you go. It's pushing in on, it says there, you can see the phrase, quote, industrial strength significantly increased and driven by the creation of a unified Reich. So the Trump campaign spokesman, Carolyn Levitt, telling CNN the video was not created by the campaign and was reposted by a staffer who didn't see the word.
Then there was the baseball bat post. She handed Trump an article featuring an illustration of him holding a baseball bat next to District Attorney Alvin Bragg's head right before his indictment. Trump posted it immediately. His own defense attorney called it ill-advised. Trump told Sean Hannity his people didn't put the picture up and that the bat was just a Made in America promotion. His lawyer responded by clarifying he was not the social media consultant. Nobody claimed the post. Everyone knew who made it, though. It was Harp, and she was still employed. Then, probably, arguably the worst video yet, the Obama video, she posted a video depicting President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama as apes, which, thank God, it was finally deleted after backlash, but the White House blamed it on an unnamed staffer. The Wall Street Journal confirmed it was Harp. This woman was posting blatantly anti-Black, racist content of our former president and still is employed. Then there was the Zelensky leak in November 2024, hours before Trump's first in-person meeting with Ukrainian President Zelensky in 5 years, a meeting with enormous geopolitical stakes. Harp published Zelensky's private diplomatic message to Trump directly onto public Truth Social, onto his feed. A wartime president's confidential communication posted publicly right before a sensitive summit. Still employed. You gotta know, something ain't right there. And then there was the Adelson situation. This is the one that really shows how dangerous this access is. Casino billionaire Marianne Adelson had a super PAC spending $18 million a week, $18 million a week on pro-Trump ads in battleground states, expected to hit $100 million total before the election. A rival donor named Ike Perlmutter wanted that money redirected to a different PAC. So Perlmutter fed Trump negative information about Adelson's team. Trump got angry. Harp was used to fire off a sequence of scathing texts directly to Adelson under Trump's name, calling her people rhinos, invoking her dead husband as a character witness against her. This was 1 week after Trump and Adelson had a warm, friendly meeting at the Republican National Convention. Then the relationship imploded. Advisors scrambled. $100 million donor relationship nearly walked out the door because of these text messages Harp sent without a single person on the campaign having visibility. Eric Trump became so furious receiving unsolicited legal opinions from her that he went directly to the legal team with a list of questions. Who is she? Who gave her authority? Why is she on the briefing on the federal court strategy? The legal team had no satisfying answer. She stayed. Now, hold on to that, because the reason she survives every single one of these disasters is part of the whole problem that the White House isn't going to address directly. The letters. So in 2023, Natalie Harp wrote Donald Trump a series of personal letters and slipped them into his daily document stack. Hidden inside news printouts she handed him every day. These letters were intercepted. They were reviewed, and they were passed around his inner circle. Michael Wolff documented them in his book, All or Nothing. The New York Times confirmed their authenticity with multiple sources. Here's what she wrote to the President of the United States. She wrote that he was all that mattered to her. It's like how I talk to Willa. It's like if I was writing Willa a letter, except if I'm Natalie, it's to the demented president who shits himself. She wrote that she wanted to bring him joy and to feel like they could get through a day without ever having to talk about work. She begged him to curse her out whenever she failed because no one knew or cared about her more. And she closed one of the letters by paraphrasing Pride and Prejudice, writing that she was unworthy of him. Pardon me when I continued to barf in a bag. Wolff described the reaction inside the inner circle as bewilderment and concern. Aides of the letters portrayed a relationship of alarming intimacy. The Secret Service, who had letters in their possession, formally flagged her as a psychological security threat to herself and to the president. Trump's response was to dismiss the entire agency. She just loves him. The White House staff started calling her Alex Forrest behind her back. That is the character Glenn Close played in Fatal Attraction, the obsessive one. This is not gossip, you guys. This is what people working directly around the President of the United States decided was the most accurate cultural reference for what they were witnessing. And then there's the invasions. Now, here's where it's not even eccentric anymore. It just starts feeling creepy and weird all on all fronts. The summer of 2023, Trump's team tried to create distance by simply not arranging housing for her at Bedminster. They called this internally addressing the Natalie situation. Harp contacted the grounds crew directly and secured a maid's room. And when that proved too far from the main building to respond quickly enough to Trump's calls, winky wink, she relocated into the women's locker room. She spent the entire summer living in a locker room to stay close to him. So on Trump Force One, following the rally pew-pewing, Harp was so upset that she had not been included on the emergency flight home. And on a subsequent flight, she walked directly into Trump's private presidential bedroom suite, space she felt oddly familiar with, a space that senior staffers actively avoided entering, and they were shocked. She was not. And then there is the Mar-a-Lago incident. Melania Trump walked into the private family residential quarters at Mar-a-Lago late at night and found Natalie Harp inside. The area was restricted to the Trump family. It was for the Trump family only. No other staff had access. The official explanation was that she was delivering documents late at night, just a late night document delivery. I've heard that one before. In a private residential quarters that only the family uses. It's like the equivalent of a "you up" text. Melania's reaction was described as surprised, which is like a very generous choice for her. She's probably like, take him. And every major outlet investigated this. Snopes, the New York Times, Wall Street Journal. They confirmed that there's no definitive proof of a physical affair, but we know that'd be kind of hard to prove without, we're going to just skirt around that one. But multiple insiders told Wolf that they doubted Trump was even capable of maintaining an affair at this point. He doesn't even know what planet he's on. Trump says he treated her like a daughter and called her sweetie, a daughter who writes him letters saying that he is all that matters to her, who lived in a golf club locker room for a summer, who wanders into his private bedroom suites, traveled with him internationally while his wife stayed at home on a different continent. Here's the thing. Whether or not this is a physical affair, come on. Something is more alarming than this. We have a demented president in charge of the United States. She has more power than his cabinet. She controls the information that enters his mind at 2 a.m. She bypasses the chief of staff. She cost the campaign a $100 million donor relationship with a text message. She published a wartime president's private diplomatic communications, and she was found in private quarters of Mar-a-Lago after midnight, and she just is flying internationally with him while Melania stays back. An affair would actually be like the least surprising thing of this. Melania didn't go to China because she does not like Trump. Okay. She does not like Trump. She gets the ick around Trump. We know this. We see it. And so when the public is watching these state dinners and they see the executive branch being run by a woman with a wireless printer in her bag and has the control of the MAGA internet rage in the palm of her hand and is writing this man love letters, it's too much for us. So we're going to keep digging in here. I want to know what you think. Put yourself in one of the people's situations here. How weird is this? Let me know. We're going to keep digging in. There's so much more to this. Please subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. Let's keep Stephen Miller down in the gutter where he belongs, where he rests at night. And consider every sub, every follow, every comment, 6 words or more, every action helps